Good afternoon. Yes, welcome back. This is Auntie Audrey. I'm reading you the Bible story box. We are on our last story today of part 3. You know, the stories of the Exodus. As children of Israel, they leave Egypt and going into Canaan. Yesterday, we met them when they were being given manna, bread from heaven. So today, story 6, it says, too busy doing good. Too busy doing good. You can find this story in Exodus chapter 17 and 18, those two chapters. Good afternoon, dear Jesus. This day is for you. I ask you to bless all I think, say, and do. Amen. No longer worried about food, Israel traveled on down the peninsula of Sinai. Then the water problem came up again. By the time they reached Rephidim, they had no water left. As usual, they blamed Moses. "Give us water to drink," they cried. "Why did you bring us up out of Egypt to make us and our children and livestock die of thirst?" Some even asked, "Is the Lord among us or not?" They were so angry that Moses cried out to the Lord, "What am I to do with these people? They are almost ready to stone me." God told Moses to take some of the leading men in the camp and to a certain rock in Horeb. He was to strike this rock with his staff, and water would flow from it. The group of leaders went with Moses and saw him strike the rock. Water gushed out of it, more than enough to take care of the needs of people and the cattle. Hardly was the problem solved, however, when more trouble came. This from the people of Amalek, who did not like having the Israelites passing through their country. Maybe they thought this was a good chance to steal some of the Israelites' cattle. Anyhow, their soldiers swooped down out of the mountains one day and caught Israel by surprise. A young man named Joshua led the men of Israel into battle. With Aaron and Hur, Moses watched the fight from a hilltop. After some time, these two men noticed that when Moses held up his hands, the soldiers of Israel advanced. When Moses dropped his hands, Amalek's soldiers began to win. So Aaron and Hur found a stone for Moses to sit on, and they held up his hands, one on one side, one on the other, until Israel won the victory. By sunset, the Amalekites were running away, and Moses was able to rest his weary arms. Then he built an altar to the Lord, calling it Jehovah Nissi, which means "the Lord is my banner." The soldiers understood why. They had seen him holding up his hands in prayer to God for them all day, just as though he had been holding up a banner to inspire them to do their best. From Rephidim, Israel journeyed to the wilderness of Sinai and camped near the mountain of God. Soon after this, word reached Moses that Jethro, his father-in-law, was coming to see him. He was bringing Zipporah, Moses' wife, and his two sons, Gershom and Eleazar. Moses went out to meet Jethro and his family. He bowed respectfully to his father-in-law and kissed him. Then they all gathered together in Moses' tent to talk over all that had happened since Moses had left Midian to go to Egypt. I imagine those two boys were glad to see their father again, don't you? And how surprised they must have been to see so many people, having lived in the country all their lives, looking after their grandfather's sheep. They had never dreamed there were so many men, women, and children in all the world. They had so much to talk about. Moses told his father-in-law about everything the Lord had done to Pharaoh and the Egyptians for Israel's sake, and about all the hardships they had met along the way, and how the Lord had saved them. Jethro was delighted to hear about all the good things the Lord had done for Israel. "Now I know," he said, "that the Lord is greater than all other gods." Then Jethro had a special meal for Moses. He invited Aaron and all the elders of Israel to welcome his guest. The next morning, Moses took his seat to serve as judge for the people, and they stood around him from morning till evening. The people needed advice on so many things, and there were so many cases of misunderstanding between one person and another that Moses was kept talking and answering questions all day long. Jethro stood by, watching and listening. When he was able to speak to Moses alone, he gave him some good advice. "You can't stand this," he said. "You will wear yourself out." "But the people keep coming to me," Moses said, "and I have to judge between them and inform them of God's decrees and law." "It's too much for you," said Jethro. "You can't do all this by yourself." He suggested that Moses divide the work and let some of the other men help him. "Select capable men from all the people," Jethro said. "Men who fear God, trustworthy men who hate dishonest gain, and appoint them as officials over thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens. Have them serve as judges for the people at all times. But have them bring every difficult case to you. The simple cases they can decide themselves. That will make your load lighter, because they will share it with you." It was good advice. Moses, with the best intentions in the world, was trying to do too much. He was actually too busy doing good. He liked to be the father of his people, meeting all their needs and answering all their questions. But no one could do all this and keep well. As Jethro said, he was just wearing himself out, and he would die long before his work was done. Fortunately, Moses was humble enough to take advice, which is more than some boys and girls I know will do. He followed Jethro's suggestions and chose capable men from all Israel and made them leaders of the people, officials over thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens. They served as judges for the people at all times. The difficult cases they brought to Moses, but the simple ones they decided themselves. It was a good thing that Moses did as he was told, for big events were about to happen. In just a little while, he would have to spend 40 days and 40 nights with God on Mount Sinai. If he hadn't given up most of his work as judge and counselor of the people, he would never have been able to do the far greater things God wanted him to do. He would have been too busy to seize life's greatest opportunities, too busy to receive the tablets of the law from its holy author, too busy to meet God face to face. It pays to take advice from a good person. We shouldn't be too busy sometimes doing God's work all by ourselves. That's why we've got our brothers and sisters, even in church, boys and girls. We cannot do everything. That's why we have people to help us around. We're all in this to work for God. Thank you for listening. And we have finished the stories of the Exodus. How I've enjoyed the stories. See you again next time as we start on part 4. Moses and the tabernacle. I think we're going to serious stuff now. Now we're coming to the 10 commandments. Moses and the 10 commandments. Thank you. God bless.